All right, Chris Manning here, Locked On Cavs podcast. A little bonus content for you. We'll be talking about this move more on the show, I am sure, but we have to talk about Danny Green, who the Cleveland Cavaliers signed, or going to sign, I should say, after he reached a buyout with the Houston Rockets. Woj has reported, that's been confirmed by me and like a bunch of other people. This is the Cavs move. This is their pre-playoff move. This is the buyout market. I think this is a great buyout for Cleveland. There's nothing not really to like about this. Danny Green is a winning player, a winning person. This is a 10 out of 10 buyout signing for the Cavs. There's a lot of reasons, I think, for this. I think it starts with the fact that this is a proven player. This is a 3-time NBA champion. This is one of the most respected guys around the league as a leader. There was reporting, out of Memphis that they loved him there as a veteran, as a locker room presence, as someone to kind of work with the young guys there and help them grow up, and didn't really want to deal him. They ultimately did in the Luke Kennard trade, which is how he becomes available. But everyone in the league loves this guy. Everyone around the NBA respects Danny Green. This is one of the most proven, trusted veterans you have out there. And he's coming to play for a Cavs team that I think needs that. You have Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, who's a little bit older, but still on the younger side, and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Like, you have these guys who are still kind of being molded. I think particularly Garland and Mobley. Danny Green is a great influence on these guys. I think it's really good for Isaac Okoro, a guy who should be, isn't the same as Danny Green, will not have the same career as Danny Green, but should be looking at Danny Green and being like, this is a guy that has been in the league for a long, long time, has made a lot of money, has won championships. What can I learn from that guy? That is an absolute thing that if you're a guy like Isaac Okoro, you should be looking at and looking at the opportunity to soak up things and learn from him. I'm sure JB Bickerstaff is going to love him. I know, hearing him talk about Ricky Rubio, he loves having Ricky Rubio in the locker room. He loves having that veteran presence. And I think they like Kevin Love for similar reasons as well. Now that Kevin has kind of grown into that role after he didn't maybe want to do it at first. Danny Green is going to be that exact kind of thing. He's also a really good shooter. Just a titch under 40% from 3 on it for his career and 4.8 per game on average. He will space up. He'll get up those looks. He will catch a ball like on the wing or in the pocket and just let it go. Like, he's not going to need a perfect look or anything. If he gets the ball and he's in rhythm, he's going to let it fly. And the Cavs need, I think, someone like that. That is a nice guy that I think will fit really well with Garland in particular. The way Garland can drive in, manipulate defenses, and kick out the shooters. Danny Green's going to get some really quality looks in the minutes I think he plays with Darius Garland. That is something you want in your rotation. That is something I think the Cavs need and every team could need in their rotation. Whether he plays 10 minutes a night, 15 minutes a night, gets maybe up to 20 is kind of an open question, but whatever minutes he played, you kind of know you're going to get the shooter. He can be a little bit streaky. That is a thing, but he can get really hot. He can get rolling. And if you all you're going to really ask him to do is catch and shoot, space in the corner, space to the wing. Like, he's going to do very simple things on offense, and he's going to absolutely be succeeding in that role. Defensively, he's also just a very good defender historically. Maybe not he's obviously not at his apex anymore. This isn't maybe like even your lockdown, throw him on the best perimeter defender kind of guy. But Danny Green's going to know what to do. He's going to know positionally where to be. He's going to put in effort. He's got he's like 6'6", 215. That's good size. He can defend a lot of positions. He can, I don't think you're going to see him maybe on the point of attack anymore, but I think like 2s and 3s, you're going to see him defend some of those guys. He'll be a guy they use in different ways. I'll be curious to see, what GB Bickerstaff decides to do with him in that sense, because you can do a lot with him. You can pair him with different guys and it will work. It will be another competent defender. It's absolutely someone I can see him loving to play. It's a very JB Bickerstaff kind of wing in a lot of ways. I was doing some reading on Danny Green to prepare for this, and there's a really great Jared Dubin piece from The Ringer a couple years ago, came out in 2020 when Danny Green was with the Lakers, and Danny Green was obviously on that bubble title team with LeBron and AD. And honestly, to me, him getting dealt away from there was a part of the identity of that Lakers team going away, right? When you moved away from Danny Green, you kind of changed your identity. As weird as that sounds for a role guy, but here's a really good Frank Vogel quote, I think, about Danny Green, and this is when he went to LA after being in Toronto with Kawhi. Quote, he's a winner. He's a champion. He's a perfect complement, really, to both of those guys, and that's in reference to LeBron and AD. You want three-point shooters and guys that can pull their weight on the defensive end. Danny fits both of those. He's a super high character player with leadership skills. So really everything about Danny Green attracted us to Danny Green, end quote. That quote, again, is referring to playing with LeBron and Anthony Davis and that star duo. But that is the kind of role player you want to put with literally every single star you have in the NBA. Every single team in the league needs guys like Danny Green in that mold. It is a coveted skill set. It is a very hard to find skill set at that really elite level. And it's why someone like Danny Green, coming off of an ACL tear and only playing 3 games in Memphis so far this year before this trade and before his buyout, is someone that teams covet. It's why Cleveland was interested, Boston was interested, Phoenix was interested, like Dallas was interested, like the Lakers are interested. You had all of these teams being interested in this guy because he just makes a lot of sense for everyone, particularly the good teams. And he's a guy good teams want to have around. This isn't to say this is a lock to absolutely work. He's 35. He is soon to be 36 years old. He is coming off an ACL tear and a LCL tear in a knee that happened before he ended up in Memphis in a trade that sent Anthony Melton to Philly. He only played in 3 games with the Grizzlies before the trade. We don't exactly know like what he looks like post ACL. We don't have like a large sample size considering he didn't play a ton. How long does it take him to fully ramp up? Like, what is he equipped to play in the playoffs? Like, these are things we just need to see where he's at physically, considering he's in his mid-30s and coming off an ACL tear. That is, to me, the biggest concern. His skill set, his know-how, the leadership stuff, like all of that stuff, I think you can pretty much lock in is being there. His skill set and what he does, like maybe loses a step defensively and things, but the shooting and the positional know-how and I think even just some of his ability to defend are really going to hold up well. The question is just like, how much can he move? How much can he kind of hold up physically in the way you'd exactly want it? And again, he's not at his apex. So you're not expecting like the best Danny Green ever. You're not getting like Spurs Danny Green, who was on some of those really good Spurs teams for like a decade under Pop. But this, you got to see what he looks like post ACL. I'm curious to see if maybe like he doesn't play back to back. That wouldn't surprise me. If he plays kind of 10, 15 minute spurts, kind of is on like the Ricky Rubio plan where both those guys are very kind of contained in their minutes as a way to kind of keep them healthy with knee injuries. So the big takeaway here, Danny Green is going to help this team. I think it is telling that they also went out and got this high character guy who can help them in just that way alone. I think if you look at what they have done in moves and Kobe Altman and his front office staff have done in recent years, they've targeted guys that I think they feel like fit the culture in whatever they're trying to build in Cleveland. They said that a lot about Donovan Mitchell when they brought him in. They talked about it with Ricky Rubio when that trade made. JB Bickerstaff talks about this a lot. They want guys that fit that culture. I think they feel like Danny Green is going to come in and fit in with what they're doing in this locker room and all of that. I would look for Green to push Osman, LeVert, and Wade for minutes. He gives this team something those guys do not. I think depending on what kind of lineups are going to be used and who they're going to play and all of that stuff, that's the kind of thing where I think clearly he will be someone to look at it for the Osman minutes. Same kind of positional thing, same size, same kind of rough offensive skill set, but definitely I think a better defender. Someone I think Bickerstaff will trust a little bit more. That's going to get him maybe above Osman. If they go into some of these maybe like wing year lineups like we saw against the Bulls, if that becomes like a real thing, maybe that kind of eats into Dean Wade's minutes a little bit. Maybe there are nights where, LeVert doesn't have it. And that is a position where like he goes to Danny Green because of what Danny Green is. It's also someone that if in a playoff series, if Isaac Okoro is struggling, maybe has a bad shooting night, something like that, this gives you another option to put in there with your starters. In theory, I don't think defensively he's going to be kind of have the ability to go like 30, 35 minutes, kind of like Okoro might if you needed to ask him to defend that guy like point of attack. But if you need a shooter, like I think certainly Danny Green as like the fifth guy with the starters could be something you see if Okoro is having a bad night shooting and they just want a different look out there. This just screams like a player JB Bickerstaff is going to really trust. I don't think he'll play a ton of minutes. 10 to 15 seems about right, but those will be useful minutes. I think this is the best fit of any of the possible names that have hit the market for Cleveland. Terrence Ross would have made some sense as well, but I think this Danny Green fit, depending on how he looks once he gets ramped up and once we see a bigger body of work coming off of that ACL tear. So I don't think he's going to play necessarily a ton of minutes, maybe 10 to 15 at night. Those will be useful minutes. This is, I think, the best name you could have gotten in the buyout market. I prefer this to Terrence Ross in a lot of ways. I think Ross would have also been a really great fit, but I prefer this to like any of the other wings that might be out there. I prefer this to like a big man option or like a Patrick Beverley. Like this is the way to go. This is a veteran wing who's been there, done that. It's a 3-time champ. He's going to help off the court in the locker room, and I think he can help on the court too. This is a great pickup for Cleveland. A really big boost for them as they're trying to make this push into the top of the East and make some noise in the playoffs this year. We'll see. It's too early to talk about like, do you bring him back next year? All of that stuff. We'll get to that on Locked On Cavs and everything when the time comes. But this is a really big deal for Danny Green to come to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the buyout market. You pick them over Boston and all of that. So I'm curious to see what he has to say about why he picked Cleveland and all of that when the time comes. And on top of that, it is cool that he is back in Cleveland. Lest anyone forgets, he was a second-round pick of the team. Spent 1 year in Cleveland, then ends up in San Antonio, where he really revitalized his career and became who he is. It's a cool story to see him back. All right, check out the full Monday episode. Back on Tuesday with more. Cavs incidentally do play the Spurs. Talk to y'all then.